to the Government News Brief for Tuesday, November 29, 2016. In the news, victims of domestic violence should find it easier to report their cases in the new year. The Mabaruma Solar Farm is expected to pioneer government's renewable energy program, and government will be strengthening the Guyana Police Force and other security agencies' capacity to restore public confidence. Stay tuned for these and other stories. Thank you for staying with us. I am Renetta Lafleur, and here are the details. Victims of domestic violence should find it easier to report their cases as government works towards constructing police stations with more units to deal with this issue. Delon Sanko reports.
Budget 2017 has made allocation for the construction of 12 police stations next year in Region 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 9, and 10. These stations will have domestic violence department for victims, including children, to report their cases. Minister of Social Protection, Valdo Lawrence, says domestic violence is very high on the government's agenda and efforts are intensifying to curb the situation.
We have to look at where we have the gaps. And one of the issues that have presented itself from persons who are victims, they have always indicated that when they get to the police station, there is no confidentiality. There is no space within the police stations to be able to tell their story.
Minister Lawrence explains that often victims cannot fully express themselves. As a result, the police do not get the real story and cases are left unsolved. This initiative, the minister says, is one that will greatly benefit those persons.
We are working with the Minister of Public Security in terms of domestic violence, trafficking in persons, and so on. And I'm very happy, very, very happy that the minister has made provision so that we can have these spaces within the various police stations. And I'm trusting that by the next budget, we can add some more stations to that and we can continue to do that provision.
Minister Lawrence says that her ministry will also work closely with communities and groups next year to eradicate this scourge. Meanwhile, the Social Protection Minister explains that provisions provided for her ministry in the 2017 budget will greatly enhance the lives of family, children, the elderly, and disabled persons.
I believe that the fact that he has indicated that they have made provision for us to have a strategic policy in the ministry, for us to have action plans and so on, I believe that all of those things will help us to eliminate those persons that should not be on the list, and that will be able to give us a true figure of our pensioners in Guyana, and also to be able to raise the monies that is presently being given to them.
Some of the provisions for Social Protection Ministry in 2017 includes parenting skills, capacity building programs, increased in old age pension, and public assistance and vocational training for the differently abled persons. Delon Sanko for the Government News Brief.
The Mabaruma Solar Farm is expected to pioneer the government's renewable energy program. Here is more from Delicia Haynes.
The $264 million solar farm expected to be set up in Mabaruma in 2017 will be the first of its kind in Guyana. This will be a new means of providing electricity to residents of that sub-region. Government intends to set up similar farms at other hinterland towns.
When operational, the 400 kilowatt solar farm will afford an additional 17 hours of electricity to the 3,000 residents of Mabaruma. Furthermore, our government has also advanced the pursuit of additional solar farms with a capacity of 800 kilowatts at Letem, 400 kilowatts at Madio, and 1.5 megawatts at Bartico.
Residents in Mabaruma are supplied daily with only 5 hours of electricity from 17 hours to 22 hours by the Mabaruma Power Company. Before the implementation of this project, extensive consultations will be held with the residents of this region. Consultations with key stakeholders such as power companies, investors, and energy agencies were done in 2016.
To complement public sector investment, the government will be granting a one-off tax holiday of 2 years for corporation tax to importers of items for wind and solar energy investments and for investors in water treatment, waste disposal, and recycling facilities. These interventions when finalized, will significantly improve the lives of our people, especially in the hinterland, by incentivizing behavioral change, boosting investor confidence, and ensuring energy reliability.
These measures under the Renewable Energy Program proposed by the government for 2017 are in keeping with the Green Agenda. This Green Development or Green Pathway sets out a vision, taking a broad, multidimensional approach towards achieving a good life for all. For the Government News Brief, I am Delicia Haynes.
The government will be strengthening the Guyana Police Force and other security agencies' capacity as part of efforts to restore public confidence in the security sector. Zenil Williams has the details.
Budget 2017 has allocated a total of $29.1 billion for the security sector as part of maintaining crime prevention and reduction strategies, Minister of Finance Winston Jordan says.
The safety of our people and property and maintenance of public order remain key priorities of our government.
In 2017, the government will undertake several more measures aimed at boosting the GPF's crime-fighting capacity, Minister Jordan explains.
Increasing recruitment of police officers by approximately 20% to boost the police presence as a deterrent to crime. 2. Equipping the police with vehicles and specialized equipment and improve mobility and response times to reported crimes. 3. Expanding patrols in key areas to deter criminal activity. 4. Re-establishing and operationalizing the 911 service to restore public confidence in the response capability of the security services.
The government will also enhance the police's ability to gather intelligence by expanding the Integrated Crime Information System in 2017, the minister says.
Strengthening the Integrated Crime Information System to ensure sister agencies such as GRA, CANU, and NANO share intelligence to enable the police to coordinate, intercept, and detain criminals.
Over at the Guyana Prison Services, government will be expanding the Mazruni Prison Region 7 at the cost of $369 million. This expansion will ease overcrowding at the Camp Street Prison, Georgetown.
And will see the expansion of offices, inmate living facilities, staff and family living facilities, training facilities, as well as the construction of a school, daycare center, and places of worship.
Meanwhile, the Guyana Fire Service Expansion Program will continue with 3 new fire stations at the cost of $77.5 million, along with additional vehicles, Minister Jordan says.
For the first time, a Port Georgetown fireboat will be added to the fleet of fire vehicles at a cost of $250 million to service Port Georgetown. In addition, expanded fire protection services has resulted in $49.4 million being allocated for 2 water tenders in Leg 1 and Wakenham, as well as 2 ambulances to augment the integrated 912 and 913 emergency services to improve response time.
The increase in budgetary provisions is part of the government's efforts to improve the security sector. I am Zenil Williams for the Government News Brief.
Budget 2017 has revealed plans for some major infrastructural works. Find out more from Gabriela Patram.
The sum of $37.2 billion of the $250 billion national budget for 2017 will go towards infrastructural development. Minister of Finance Winston Jordan, during the presentation of the budget, points out that the intention is to kickstart Guyana's development agenda by investing heavily in critical infrastructure. One such development is the startup of the first phase of the Linden to Lethem Road project. Minister of Public Infrastructure David Patterson says that he is pleased with what Budget 2017 has proposed for infrastructural development.
I thought an excellent budget from the Ministry of Public Infrastructure. We know several groundbreaking initiatives are there. The first phase 1 of the Mabura Road. That is phase 1 of the Linden Lethem Road. That's announced today. Crossing bridging the Kubukari. That's announced today. Several of the issues that we would have put up, $1 billion for renewable energy. That's tremendously important.
Additionally, infrastructural works will be done to reduce the number of road fatalities. Minister of Finance Winston Jordan explains.
As a means of promoting pedestrian safety while improving the flow of traffic, we will construct the first ever pedestrian overpasses in the country at Lilliendale, Houston, Eccles, and Peters Hall. as well as the first ever vehicle overpass at the Diamond Main Access Road.
As it relates to road development, $2.3 billion has been allocated for capital projects in the hinterland. Some of the roads include Port Kaituma Road from the airstrip to Vicksburg, housing scheme in Region 1, Isana Road to Cairo to Buckhalls Road in Region 7, Karasabai to Monkey Mountain in Region 8, and Aishalton Junction to Shia in Region 9. For the Government News Brief, I'm Gabriela Patram.
Government intends to create 4 new municipalities and 4 new neighborhood democratic councils NDC. This was announced by Minister of Finance Winston Jordan as he delivered the 2017 budget to the National Assembly yesterday. Here is more.
Mr. Speaker, Kurukururu and Yarokabra in Region 4, Barakara in Region 6, and Aranaputo in Region 9 will all be designated neighborhood democratic councils to enable citizens to have direct control over the development of their communities. Additionally, capital towns will be identified for Regions 3, 4, and 5, following the identification of Mario as the capital town in Region 8. These capital towns will serve as the official seat of governance and the central hub for the provision of public services.
The creations of new local government organs are part of the government's plan to ensure the right of citizens to participate in decision-making in their municipalities and neighborhood councils. It is also part of the government's plan to heighten democracy of local government for the planned economic takeoff of Guyana's towns and regions. These plans also address the revenue base of the local government organs, Minister Jordan says.
Mr. Speaker, it is well known that the revenue base of our local democratic organs is woefully insufficient to finance the effective management and administration of their respective areas. The valuation regime and financial system within which the organs operate are grossly inadequate, causing the LDOs to be heavily dependent on financial support from central government. This effectively compromises their autonomy. As such, throughout all levels of government services, we will be overhauling and modernizing our national valuation systems and capacities in order to help LDOs improve the state of their finances.
The 8 more local democratic organs will join the 3 new towns, Bartica, Lethem, and Mabruma, that were recently added to the 6 existing towns and 65 NDCs. The Minister of Finance explains that government will work with them to guide the implementation of localized priority recommendations and actions. I am Zanil Williams for the Government News Brief.
Residents have been urged to aggressively pursue tourism ventures in the North Rupununi, which is rich in biodiversity. Isaiah Braffett tells us more.
Minister of Indigenous Peoples Affairs Sidney Alikak, during a meeting with the North Rupununi District Development Board recently, encouraged members to be aggressive about promoting tourism in their communities.
So far we have been having persons trained in the various areas, but have not seen anybody like truly doing tourism in the way that it is aggressive and you're getting people. So we need to get more persons involved, more packages identified, more new things that have never been there before on the market.
Minister Alikak urged the 2 shouts to have a vision for the tourism development. According to the minister, this will help the government to have a consolidated approach towards tourism in the North Rupununi.
The government doesn't have that money, but we could begin to focus. It will help the government to organize its approach to development. Or we could look to donor agencies. We have donor agencies who could be sympathetic to our cause as long as it is properly done. And here is where we need persons who could get the concept and develop it, defend it, and move.
So North Rupununi extends from the Sipironi River to the Kanuku Mountains and from the Essequibo River to the Brazilian border. The river teems with used caimans, there are numerous bird species, used water lilies, freshwater fish, and used termite mounds. Isaiah Braffett for the Government News Brief.
We have come to the end of today's edition of the Government News Brief. The details of these and other stories can be found on GNews website. You can also visit and like our Facebook page to be updated as the news unfolds. Join us tomorrow for another edition of the Government News Brief. I am Renetta LaFleur. Thank you for watching.